Alright, so a little bit late on this one, but as someone who's a plus 10 Est user, I think it's only fair that I give Est her due diligence and justice and likely awareness for some of you who may very well need this video. So yeah, let's jump into Est, the analysis.
Let the lesson begin.
What's up guys, Akariss here, bringing you another Fire Emblem Heroes video. Yes, I know this video is technically a little bit overdue. I guess some of you don't have Est Resplendent yet, and those of you who don't even have Fed Pass can obviously use this video as a means to look at Est as a unit analysis videos, because Resplendents and their skins are a good opportunity for me to share information and analysis on these type of characters who may very well have been forgotten. As someone who's actually a holder of a plus 10 Est and used Est extensively back in 2018-2019's Fireball days, and still used Est quite extensively even in AR offense. Nowadays she pretty much only sees use in Arena Assault, but I wanted to make sure I provided this video for you guys who may not know the potential of this really good character in the game. And I mean literally, if you couldn't tell by the title or you haven't gotten the hint yet, Est is literally probably the best F2P option, even at no merges, to take care of one of the most prominent, discussed characters in this game. And yes, I'm talking about Fallen Edelgard. Anyone who has any issues with Fallen Edelgard in doesn't matter what mode may want to consider Est as their solution to that hero. And I am not joking, I will show you obviously throughout this video what I mean and why she's so good at dealing with the menace that is Fallen Edelgard. Because honestly, it feels like there's just a lack of knowledge, and I'm here to try to share and disintegrate that best I can with a character that pretty much everyone should have lying around in their barracks, as she has literally no fodder besides shove. So if you don't have her by now, well, you probably just installed the game or sent her home, in which case that's kind of sad. But yeah, anyways, let's talk about Est. Before we do, I do implore you to smash the like button. We're beginning a new year here, so show me that you actually care with the content I do by clicking that button, because I do this to make sure and remind you that you actually do it, and it does show that you care about these videos. Second, if you're not one of the 35% that are not subbed, I recommend doing that as well. Thank you guys. Alright, Est. Now before we jump into any analysis and details on this particular character, I will do a little bit of a art opinion, which in this case is, I actually like this one quite a lot. For those who don't know, I'm actually a big fan of like the fairy outfits. I don't know why, I'm not like huge on Disney or anything, but I guess like fantasy Fire Emblem characters, especially cute ones like Est, kind of fit this. So yeah, I liked Erica's outfit, and that one stood out to me, and I like Est's outfit too. It absolutely fits her character and personality, in my opinion, of course. I'm not an art critic though, so I'm not going to tell you if there's some sort of details or something missing in here. It looks good on the eyes. I like it. Fits her personality and style. So yay Est, and yay the art behind this one. Probably the only way this wouldn't work is like if you give a fairy outfit to someone who's not meant to have one, like Surtur or something. That would probably be a little strange, but maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe somebody could go do that. Surtur with a fairy costume. Yeah. Alright, so let's jump into some builds here and talk about Est in more detail. For those that don't know, Est is quite of a specialist, and she's always pretty much had a decent stat spread in the form of attack and res with serviceable speed, but the attack is very important to talk about when you consider her weapon. And her weapon is still very good even by today's standards, which is a effective against armor with 3 to all stats and a brave damage effect, assuming you have 2 flyers within 2 spaces of her. Not that difficult to achieve, however, those conditions can be annoying, of course, depending on what your team comps are or what other flyers you may be forced to use, so forth and so forth. The reason like Fireball even existed, in my opinion, was someone like Est, who basically destroyed Surtur back in like 2018, 2019, whatever, and because of that, she was completely demolishing. I would call Bridal Catria the revival of Fireball in today's game, where she pretty much does, Bridal Catria enables a bunch of these other units to do these like crazy brave, super nuke type effects, where Est was like the foundation of I'm gonna brave and kill stuff. Now Catria and Palla also did this sort of stuff, but Est stood out because people still used armors back then, notably Surtur, and Est, believe it or not, blue armor effectiveness is still pretty good even against green disadvantage. And in today's game, I would still call her quite usable, but only in more specific scenarios as opposed to generally speaking. In fact, we're going to talk about generalist. I would say that Catria is better for fulfilling more of a generalist role than Est is, where she's more specialist and killing armors. Overall, in terms of her pros and cons, she's great investment, honestly, for like 20k feathers and 200 divine dew to have an anti-armor, anti-meta unit. She is literally one of the most consistent and best Arena Assault heroes that I use even to this day. She's pretty budget. I'll show you in a moment why that's the case. You really don't need much fodder to make her work. Unfortunately, though, because she's a specialist, you can't really use her in like everything. She's pretty anti-synergistic with a lot of stuff. Of course, she needs flyers to really function. She doesn't really benefit from Bridal Catria that much. And of course, just limited as a old, outdated kind of blue lance flyer. Yes, Resplendent stats help a bit, but that's not really going to matter in the grand scheme of things, since the only stat she uses is pretty much attack and maybe speed to a lesser extent. Now, what is cool to talk about here is, of course, the simulations. So, first of all, we have Est here as shown in a build, but I wanted to show you a very budget build at literally no merges with her White Wing Spear, Death Blow, Hit and Run, and just a Blade Session Seal. If you choose to do this, you can actually take care of a maxed Fallen Edelgard, and I mean literally maxed, where we're talking plus 10 with transform, 10 dragon flowers, even has a legendary blessing, and you just have a pretty standard Est with an attack boon, no merges, no buffs. Okay, that plus 10 Fallen Edelgard there dies. As you can see by the next slide here, it's pretty much about like a 12 damage overkill, something around that much. So if you do end up buffing Est even further, and this is without Resplendent stats by the way, if you end up buffing Est even further with like an attack boost or merges or flowers or something, she 100% decisively always wins this matchup, which is why I'd call her the best answer to Fallen Edelgard in pretty much any mode. So if you're having trouble with Fallen Edelgard in, let's say, Aether Raids, then you may want to consider just having one team set aside with Est. And she fits perfectly fine into most team comps because you should be using Air and Peony anyways, so that's two flyers that would easily enable Est, give her the attack she needs, and completely kill your corner Fallen Edelgards all the time. Of course, you'll still need someone else on the team, probably your carry, tank, far save armor, whatever, but you have Est clean up your corner armor if that ends up being a problem for you. Now, Est, as I said, is a great answer to a plus 10 Fallen Edel in Arena Assault. If you choose to play that mode, she comes in there and kills pretty much all the armors, which Fallen Edel might be one problematic armor for you. If you choose to use Est even further, higher investment, then yes, she's going to require much more setups, and I want to, of course, showcase that right here, which is right here in these builds. So, Est is unfortunately way more specialized in how you can use her, and in my opinion really doesn't shine too much here. But if you really want to have her more than just a counter pick role to kill your Fallen Edel in a corner, then I would suggest maybe repurposing her into a Wings of Mercy Gale Force team, a Gale Force Initiator team, or possibly throwing her onto a sort of Flyer Ball or Catria ball team. Even though she doesn't synergize too well with Bridal Catria, she still does benefit from the flyer formation effects, and Bridal Catria being a flyer at least can somewhat enable Est with potentially another flyer as well, maybe someone like New Year's Dagger, or even Yoon or Mirabilis. There's tons of other flyers who can still kind of enable Est even without Bridal Catria beside her, or flyers in general. So she can still work on defense. I think she's still a good unit to use on defense, but she definitely requires, she doesn't synergize and still requires a bit of help to work, but she's no slouch. Definitely not. So in terms of her functions on AR offense, like I said, in Wings of Mercy follow-ups, if you have someone like Air or any other ranged hero using the Fury seals now, with Fury just getting to 50%, Est fits in nicely with Wings of Mercy, especially if there's other flyers nearby, so that she can activate her weapon, and even if she doesn't, she can usually one-shot a lot of the stuff, and would appreciate follow-ups from Peony dancing her, for example, or Brave Marianne, enabling her again to hopefully get that heavy blade off. She has honestly enough attack at investment to pretty much win most heavy blade checks, so I wouldn't worry too much about the fact that she's not using any attack boosting stuff. When you factor in Mythic Blessings as well, she's definitely not going to be missing attack checks at all. What is important is, unfortunately, you have to consider other flyers on the team to make the best use out of her weapon in some scenarios. But at the end of the day, if the corner armors give you problems, then maybe consider Est as a Gale Force unit to maybe throw on your team. She can also function at higher kind of skill investments through Gale Force Initiation, which means making use of Trace skills, maybe Tempest skills, Fury for chip damage or attack speed push, something like that. Even the Fury Seal combined with like Heavy Blade, any of those combination of skills can definitely do a lot of work, and have her be the initiator. Unfortunately, with her being the initiator, you're most likely not going to have other flyers nearby, and that does make her wonky, inconsistent, and harder to use for sure, but she still has a decent attack and speed stat that she can walk into a lot of foes and potentially set up Wings of Mercy for the rest of your team to come fly in, and her follow-up ends up being a bit easier because of that. Remember, she's more of a technical counter pick as opposed to a generalist, where I think Katria definitely would shine a bit better in this role, but unfortunately Katria is not the Fallen Edel Slayer, and Est absolutely is, and because of that can warrant a spot on your team. So yeah, this is definitely someone like I feel is a pretty forgotten unit, but even though I'm a little bit late on this Est analysis because of the holidays and whatnot, I wanted to revisit it and provide this analysis for you guys to hopefully bring awareness to this really budget hero that can deal with a menace that a lot of people struggle with even to this day, and because of that, Est is your literal answer to that. I don't think there is a better 3 and 4 star unit in the whole pool that does it as well. Another one that I haven't covered in a while is actually Cecilia, and Cecilia is also a pretty solid answer that doesn't even require gacha. She's literally 1-2 star available, and with her TA Refine does a pretty solid job with a little bit of bulk to also kill Fallen Edelgard. So, with the dance, of course. But that is for another video. Maybe Cecilia gets her Resplendent, and I'll revisit her unit analysis at that point. I'm going to continue providing these unit analysis for you guys to watch and indulge in. Don't consider the Resplendent or the Fed Pass as a necessity for any of these analysis. It's just a kind of refresher that this unit exists, and hopefully something, or maybe, that you guys will consider investing into, as I am definitely a fan of Est, a user of plus 10 Est. I still use Est to this day, and pretty happy with how consistent she is at getting the job done. So yeah, that covers Est in this video. Thank you guys for watching as always. Hope you're having a great break. If your break is ending, then I hope you're having a great start to the year. And with that being said, smash the like button, sub if you haven't already. If you want your name at the end of this video with the Patreons, and to show your support and love for what I do, consider that in the description below. Love you all. See you in the next one. Peace.
It's over.